Ladies and gentlemen, a few days ago, I did a video on Yosemite and the raging fire that's going on there and still happening there. They absolutely cannot get this thing under control. They just can't do it. So now they are talking about chainsawing trees down in order to attempt to get this fire under control. Now, many of you know Yosemite National Park is the most famous tree is the sequoias, and that wood is worth a lot of money. And I really think a lot of this have to do with money. They know that wood is a lot of money and they just hate to see it going up in flames. So they're trying to get those trees down and preserve and be able to sell that wood on the market. So, the towering trees of Yosemite National Park have long held a treasured place in the American psyche, whether the ancient and majestic Sequoias. So, the Sequoias, um, ponderosa pines with their snake pattern bark, or the acorn laden black oaks, the lifeblood of many Native American cultures. So it was with this legacy in mind that two top Yosemite Park officials walked through last week, and they were looking at a collection of tree stumps and explained to visitors why they had to chainsaw hundreds of trees. That's a lot of wood that's going on the market, y'all. It's a lot of wood. So, mm, mm, mm. Cicely Muldoon, superintendent of the park, acknowledged that the notion of cutting trees at Yosemite could be hard to explain to the public. It hurts people's heart, she said, but we have to use every tool at our disposal to save the forest, to save the park, and to restore the health of the ecosystem, to keep people safe. More than 140 million trees killed in California by drought and by plagues of beetles over the past decade, 2.4 million of them in Yosemite alone. Forestry experts described the state's forests as wounded and extremely vulnerable. Now, as the state suffers another severe drought, Yosemite seems perennially under siege by fire and smoke. In the past month, the Oak Fire and the Washburn Fire have raged near the park or in the park, prompting evacuations, closing entrances, and threatening the largest standing sequoias, including the prize Mariposa growth. Mm-mm-mm. Those trees are really beautiful too. Miss Muldoon said that more aggressive steps need to be taken before to make the forest of Yosemite more resilient. But she and the park's management will first have to prevail in court. A judge this month temporarily halted the removal efforts as the tree cutting I guess there was a lawsuit filed by environmental groups. Yes, there was an environmental group based in Berkeley that filed a lawsuit against all the chainsawing that was going on. Um, the thinning project covers less than 1% of Yosemite's forests. Whether or not the lawsuit proves successful, it is resonating well outside of the park's boundary and raising larger questions about how to manage forests in the age of climate change. It's like everything we see is climate change, is climate change. All right. Increasingly, leading forestry experts are propounding a view dissident to a public accustomed to the idea of preserving the country's wildlands. Sometimes you have to cut trees to save trees and burn forests to save forests, they say. Mm-mm-mm. So they're going to, you remember Trump was not all into the climate change. So they kind of dragged Trump on him down playing climate change. And you know how it is. I'm just moving on. I don't want to get into the politics like that. Most of us are absolutely convinced that this is not only a good thing to do, but is absolutely necessary. John Battles, a professor of forest ecology at the University of California, Berkeley, a science advisor to California Wildfire and Forest Resilience Task Force. Okay. In this year's budget, Congress designated nearly $6 billion towards wildland fire management programs, adding to the $5 billion earmark of hazardous fuel reduction and other fire related programs in the infrastructure law signed last month. Lawmakers introduced the Save Our Sequoias Act, which would expedite environmental reviews required for the thinning project. So, I think they are not going to be able to put this thing out probably until fall or somewhere along the way. A rainstorm comes along, but it is very dry out in the West. And I can see how this would be happening. I mean, this is absolutely crazy. The fires that are going on in America is almost like the whole country is on fire. I mean, there was even one in my state about a month ago. There was a wildfire here. So y'all gonna have to tell me what you think. They've already started cutting down all of these sequoias over there. I don't think it's gonna put out a fire, but maybe you think that this will help in putting it out. I sure don't. I think they are at a loss, and I think they are pulling for straws on this whole thing, and they really don't know what to do. And not to mention, if you remember some of the stories I did in the prior months, there is a shortage on firefighters. And I know that was another big concern they were having as these fires were sparking in Texas and California, Colorado, the shortage of people they would have out there fighting fires. But we know what they do. They notoriously will just pay an inmate $1 an hour and push them on out there. But y'all gonna have to tell me what you think about this story. America is definitely on fire these days. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.